everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, the living terrible idea factory, and we get started this week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. Ruben Bressler. I was waiting. I just want you to know.
Of course you were. I didn't interrupt you again, though. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Go ahead. We're good to go.
Look, we also get started with our Trumpet Blast, which you can get one if you support us at our highest level on Patreon. We do have a few special notes here, not from the Trumpet Blast, just for the show. We do a raid at the end of the show, which we go support the community, find somebody who needs some people to watch them, and go send some people their way. If you backed our War of the Spark complete set Kickstarter, all of that stuff has been hand-delivered to Quartermaster Logistics, and they're going to work it into their system, and I will let everybody know once all those packages have been shipped.
Good. There's an update on the matches from that.
Yeah.
I am not a Kickstarter scientist, nor am I a shipping scientist, and I didn't know that you can't send matches overseas, so we're gonna dump the matches out, but you'll still keep the box. Because, you know, it's a reward. And
it's such a good idea. I loved that we did that, but it's too bad that it can't be fulfilled overseas.
Yeah, but the domestic backer is going to get it, so that's cool, too. That said, we kick it off with our first pick and the giveaway. The giveaway this week is not a gift certificate. In fact, it is a full booster box of Throne of Eldraine.
Nice.
Yeah. So get in on that. Exclamation mark raffle gets you in on it. If you subscribe to us, which you totally should, you get 2 entries, which is great. Now, if you're outside the U.S. because Wizards rules, I can't send you a box, but I'll give you a gift certificate equal to the same amount, and you get whatever you want at CoolStuffInc.com, which is cool.
International shipping.
Absolutely. So, first pick. Both Aaron and I got a chance to play in the Throne of Eldraine pre-release. I'll sum up mine real quick. So you're cool and you had good plays and whatever. I am a complete bumbling idiot when it comes to this set. I cannot win a game to save my life. I've had multiple 0-3 seals on Arena. When I played in real life, I got three Love Struck Beast and I still somehow struck out. Like, the only win I got at the pre-release was the bye. That's where you're at. That's where I was at.
Terrible.
It is terrible. It's big guys.
So I played in a pre-release on Friday night with my friend Happy Tooklas and several other friends of ours, and I ended up building a Mardu aggro deck, which is very unlike me. Some of my rares weren't very good. I had Fires of Invention. I had the Beast, but my green was terrible. Like, I had no green creatures somehow. It was my only green creature. And so I ended up building this really nice Mardu deck. I had the Murderous Rider. I had 3 7 dwarves, and I had just, some random, red and white creatures. I had the White Sir, the first strike or whatever. Not many rares to speak of, just very low to the ground kind of Mardu deck. And I went 2-1. My first opponent was a really lovely young man who was on mono red, and so that was an interesting mirror. That mono red Torbrin that is no joke. Like,
the dwarf that makes damage.
That card was terrifying. Yeah, so I got to face that. My second opponent was a really sweet guy on black green. He had the Lovelorn Beast. He also had the Troll that he could bring back with the food. That was the deck that I wanted to play. That was more on brand for me, but I did enjoy my deck quite a bit. And then the third person who I got my one loss to was my friend Ben, and he was on more of a Mardu mid-range deck. So like, his Mardu was just bigger than mine, and I couldn't really find a way to punch through. But I had a lot of really cool plays. I got to blow the house down and kill somebody once. I got to fling a jousting dummy at somebody, which made me feel really good. And so I got to go outside my comfort zone a little bit. I got to enjoy a lot of the new cards. Everybody I played was super sweet. We had really, really good turnout, a nice mix of people. And I'm glad that I win. I don't pre-release very often, but I've been trying to get out of the house a little more, and I'm glad that I did.
Who are you, and what have you done with Aaron Campbell with your aggro attacking people and jousting dummies?
I had so much fun. Like, I was flinging things at people, and I was turning everything sideways, and I was doing combat math, and it was pretty exciting. I'm not gonna lie.
You attending a limited event all by itself, like,
it's true.
This is unknown territory here.
It's called growth.
I mean, my first round, I got to play 3 games, which was fine, and kind of lost a bit of squeaker, and then the bye, because you know me, and then the third round, they had both Gilded Goose and Oko, and I was like, this is fair magic, and I was just like, and I went home with my 1 pack and was done. That was all. But yeah, I can't seem to figure out what in the world's going on with this format, what colors to play, what things are powerful, what are the best things to do in sealed. I've played and lost to aggro. I've played and lost to control. Like, I don't know where anything is in this format. It's crazy.
It's really strange. I have noticed a trend that whenever there is a new type of resource available, the sealed format is super wonky. For example, sealed with energy is super weird. And very swingy depending on what energy producers you had access to. Same with clues. Right. Clues were made. Clues were a little bit different because they smoothed out draws, right? But it was still another resource that was just a whole nother kettle of fish that you had to deal with and be like, how do I use my foods? Are they just going to sit there and elongate the game? The other thing I've seen about this format is that food does, and in general, this format does kind of grind to a halt. You get into big board stalls a good amount of the time in this format. I'm not exactly sure why. I feel like a lot of the aggro stuff is really well costed, and it's easy to. There are enough cards that are designed to break through board stalls. Blow Your House Down being a great example. And it just still does. And so I'm excited to explore the limited environment more and see how it goes. Because from what I understand, people are having a ball with it, even though it's confusing. It's super challenging, which is very rewarding for folks.
I spoke with someone, Cool Stuff, who was doing very well in the sealed, and I was like, please tell me, give me something. And they said, look at all of your food cards and what you can do there, and look at all of your adventure cards, because both of those mechanics are so powerful, and the way everything meshes together, look at those synergies first, and that should give you an idea as to what you should be doing.
Adventure really grew on me. I remember when it first got previewed, when we first saw the frame, I didn't get it. I was a little skeptical, but having actually played with it this weekend, there were a lot of times that I forgot to use it. Like, I had a couple copies of the Fairy Godmother, and so sometimes I would do a very early kind of Fairy Godmother, and then I could just bring her back the same turn. Like, I could get combat trick and then end of turn bring her back. And so I actually had a lot of fun with it. I've been using the merchant. They are now using that in Modern Dredge, which is putting up results. And so I had to pick up a couple copies of that because regionals is in a couple weeks. And so I've been really impressed with the effect that it's having on older formats. The Talisman is seeing play in Outcome and Vintage. There's a 2-card Monty version with the Talisman as well. People are using Rankle in Vintage just to kind of putz around with that. You're seeing the Deafening Silence, which is seeing play. To me, that's the sign of a good format, is when people see potential in older formats, because it's so hard to break through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, so let's move on here. To gather the townsfolk, Wizards today sold their deluxe edition of Throne of Eldraine through their website. It lasted for about 2 hours before it was sold out. We have no idea what the print run was, but we also know that the last Mythic edition sold out in about 12 seconds. This one took a couple of hours, but this one was also $450, to the point where Wizards had to announce, if you could please call your bank and tell them that we understand.
People like to say that Vintage and Legacy, you have to take out a mortgage for. You got to take out a mortgage just to buy these cards. Like, I don't want to hear it.
It's a lot of money, but by God, they sold through, I suppose.
Now, tell me, Evan, you're my collector's edition go-to. You tell me, is this one? Now, the previous ones, you were like, it's worth it. It's even worth the headache of dealing with the shipping. Is this one? Does this one have the value?
Yes and no. I think there's going to be a lot of square-cornered Okos in the world as people get those sheets and just get your foil Okos if they give you one. There's that. It's questionable based on how much you like playing the lottery. Okay, so something Emma Handy was talking about earlier this week was that the $4 lottery packs versus the $25, $30 lottery packs, they still have the same swings. You can get an extended art foil Oko in a $4 pack, and you can get a $150 foil extended art Garrick in the collector pack. There's huge, gigantic swings between these products. It's just how you like to spin the wheel and how much you're willing to invest in that experience. Because plenty of people have been opening up collector's packs and been disappointed, Like, you know, I got like Captured by the Fae or whatever as my foil extended art rare or whatever. And somebody else right before me, they opened up the World of Scions extended art, you know, rare.
Sure.
And the person before that got a foil extended art Gilded Goose, and that was fantastic, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I whiffed. If you're okay with that experience, if you want that endorphin rush when you do hit something awesome, it's there for you if you want it.
I mean, it sounds a lot more like the ultimate box topper in that way.
Yeah, it is. And Wizards needs those swings because they want you to have that real high of when you open something fantastic. But the real lesson from this deluxe edition, and something the professor was talking about earlier today, which is Wizards has still not found the ceiling. They have not found a dollar amount that people will not bite at.
Yeah.
And if they thought this was too much, no. I'm willing to bet that not only will Theros be more expensive, I'm guessing it's going to be $500, but I think by the time we get to Zendikar Rising, it's going to be $1,000. And if Zendikar Rising happens to have fetch lands,
it will when it has them.
And it puts a exclusive, you know, art, foil, whatever version of all the 5 fetch lands that it puts back into standard in this deluxe box, that's when you get that $1,000 price tag. And there's going to be people who bite. I just feel like it's still there. We have yet to find it.
Yeah.
And when they sell out of the $1,000 boxes, where do you go? Like, really? Like, how far do you keep pushing this until it just gets almost like, you know, ridiculous?
I don't know. If I'm paying $1,000 for a box, Reed Duke better pop out of that box and sing me a song. That's all I gotta say. Like,
I mean, you get a playset of like, you know, the Expedition-esque like fetch lands. You're guaranteed a set if you buy this box.
Right.
I mean, even in the current one, like that extended art Garrick with the foil in that box is worth about $150. So if you're paying $450 for it, and then you say, well, this one card is worth $150, and then you say, well, these 16 packs are worth X, and I'm getting this value, and so on and so forth, you can justify that. But
sure.
I think the real lesson is that Wizards is just going to push harder and harder on the gas pedal to see when the money stops.
Well, this one also, this particular collector edition is going to be a bit of an aberration because, as we found out, they're mappable.
Well, let's get to that. Now, this is one of the things that someone had kind of noticed, but this is not scientific. There's flaws in the logic, and if you go through read some of the comments, people are saying that, like, yeah, sometimes this is matching up, and sometimes this is not. There are mappable sets. Like, for example, Gatecrash was 100% mapped. If you open, like, the middle pack in Gatecrash and you see what rare it is, you can know literally every single spot of the rares in that box. Like, it was totally mapped. That is not the case here. What they're saying is they're seeing patterns. Here's some of the patterns that they saw. They're going to pay attention to more booster box openings, and maybe they'll figure something out. But that's more or less what I took away from that thread in particular.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, because I hadn't seen. Well, has Rudy chimed in on this one yet? Alpha Investments.
I don't. If he has, I haven't seen it.
Okay, because he's typically my go-to of. He's usually on the front lines of this is mappable. You know, put on this tinfoil hat. I would be interested to know, because this would be, having regular boxes be mappable is one thing, but having your collector's edition that you're selling for $450 be mappable is quite another.
It's a lot. But again, this is, you know, we're entering sort of a new world here. We have a all new product that is very expensive, brings in a lot more money for Wizards. Wizards gets another huge cash infusion from a $450 box of shiny cardboard.
Right. That's the other thing that was interesting about this is not only is the time different. Obviously 2 hours is a lot longer than 12 seconds or whatever it was. Not only is the price different, it's $450 this time, which is a jump, but also this was on the toy shop as opposed to on eBay, so we don't have the numbers. Right.
We have no idea what the run was.
Right.
10,000, 20,000, 5,000, we have no idea. And obviously you can multiply those numbers by, you know, $450 to see how much money they could possibly be making. Because whatever the production cost on that box is, I'm pretty sure the profit margins is nuts. But, you know, again, more power to them. They have the ability to do this. You don't have to buy it. Only the most expensive, you know, people who like to throw around the money, the whales of the world want stuff like this. And I hope they enjoy it. I really do. I just don't think the average player needs it or necessarily wants it. And you have to really want that, like, adrenaline rush of opening something great. Because
and I think that's important messaging. I think reminding people of that, because one of the pulls of Magic is it does feel sometimes like you have to. And that was one of the most important level up moments for me as a Magic player, was being able to say, like, I don't need to buy all these cards. You know, I don't have to keep up with the hottest set. I only play these formats. You know, it's you know, white noise is a thing and peer pressure is a thing. And so being able to remind people that you can sit this one out, it's fine, I think is very, very important.
And Wizards is taking that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and they're pushing down. They're keep going, and we're going to see how far they go with Theros and Ikoria and all that good stuff. All right, so moving on here. There is the ELD Mastery, the Throne of Eldraine Mastery level stuff has been revealed. There's going to be 110 levels. Yeah, to the candy she goes.
It's hashtag Peach Rings time.
Exactly. The Mastery level is going to be 110 levels because there's more days in this set than between the last one, the M20 and this one. Sure. And you get packs and stuff, and that's cool. It's basically the same as the core set, so that's nice. If you were a part of the beta, which as far as I know, Aaron, you did at one point run Arena and sign in without the preview login.
She's checked out at this point.
She don't know. Who cares? If you did, you get the Fibblethip avatar and a really cool card back.
Yes. What's the card back? I didn't, because I saw the Fibblethip avatar today.
I believe it was the Seb McKinnon key art.
Oh, nice.
Oh, can I get the gingerbread girl sleeves? Is that up yet?
So you can. Those are available. But you have to. That is a gems purchase.
Oh hell!
You got to spend real money.
I know.
If you had pre-ordered the 50 packs, which I did, you got that included. So that was the thing. All right. That said, MTG Arena has officially launched. We are not in beta any longer. We are officially official, and they did commercials, and they've been doing huge ad buys, and you can see stuff all over the web, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But one of the things that kind of sticks out to me is that the client is not running very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, they stumbled out of the gate a little bit with the official release.
And I love the cat. I love the cat, guys. I love the cat. I love the fox. It's all very adorable. And it's adorable, but it's not like, can we
Aaron, please.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can we not, I mean, hashtag 5kids. Can we not just like have a client that doesn't completely crap the bed every time you try to just play a card? Like,
it is pretty disappointing that, you know, personally, I haven't noticed much of a difference on my laptop, but it has been a common thread in the conversation that it's really not been a great release day.
Yeah, and streamers have to postpone streams or say that they can't stream Arena because of the stress on their computers. People are posting sort of their specs and saying that, you know, I have this good of a computer, and yet here is how much performance, here is how much memory it's taking.
Wow.
You know, people with good computers, regular streamers, that are like, I cannot do this, and so. It's very, very frustrating.
I mean, and obviously this is just my experience, and like I've tried turning down the settings and whatnot. It's just, you know, and it's hard to like submit a bug report for it kind of runs like crap now. You know what I mean? Like I can't just say that in particular.
What's the bug? Well, the whole thing.
The whole experience of trying to drag cards and click on stuff, and I mean, seriously, it's kind of gross. Now, obviously, one of the wins today was put on Twitter, which was Magic, as of this afternoon, had twice as many viewers than Hearthstone.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
considering the fact that we were talking about hashtag Dad Hearthstone money at this time last year, they went out and they got it.
They did.
Hugely impressive. I mean, we were talking about how Magic was gonna, you know, was an old man. It was going the way of the dodo. That the kids were, you know, leaving Magic behind, and I mean, it does not appear to have panned out that way.
Because I went back and looked, you know, Hearthstone's been around 5 years, and in 5 years from when Chris Cox showed up to where we have a release of Arena, like he should print that thing out and put it up on his wall. Like that is the success of successes. I mean, yes, it changes, and yes, Hearthstone gets more viewers over blah 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 blah. But the thing is, we are starting to be like not just competitive, like we're starting to win for a while, and that's incredible for Magic in that. You know, Magic Online was just kind of an embarrassment, and Magic Arena was coming, but was it going to be real Magic? Remember, that was a big thing for a very long time, and they finally unveiled it, and we got to play this awesome client and these really sweet new sets, and it was just terrific. And I think to go from literally 0 to they hired the Microsoft guy, and today we're talking about how they had twice the viewership as Hearthstone. Like, that's just a giant win. That's just a huge win.
It's a huge win.
I mean, it's a win, but we've also kind of discussed the hidden cost of, you basically sacrifice paper competitive Magic for this thing. And so was it worth it? I think that has yet to be determined.
It's a good point.
I think you can, well, and it's a thing I can touch on, which is I think Wizards is trying their best to do this. There's a digital over here lane and there's a paper lane over here, and they're trying not to have one eat too much of the other. But I feel between the collector's packs and the deluxe edition, and give us $50, and you can play any deck you want with as many of the new cards as you want, up to 12 times. That's a thing. Like that all of that, I think, affects the sort of the ecosystem of how the FLGSs are doing, how the set is selling. The set is doing better than M20, but okay. It's not doing near what Guilds did. It's not doing anywhere close to what War the Spark did. And when you look back, and I was talking about this earlier, Dominaria was just like the most insane Magic set. Like, it may very well be not just the best set of all time, but maybe the best selling. Like, it sold bananas. Like, just crazy numbers. And everybody loved War of the Spark, and it did way bigger than War of the Spark. And then we come back to kind of reality, and you say, well, if the pre-release numbers were like, okay, and then you say, well, Wizards has given the ability for you to buy a box. You can pick up that box on pre-release weekend, and they're giving you a $30 pack right on top of it. So if you're going to pay $30 for a pre-release kit, let's just go the rest of the way, and me and my buddies will just play sealed with my collector's pack and my Kenrith.
Right.
So,
I think that it's not that they traded away all of paper Magic. It's that they traded away the mid-level buyer of paper Magic and hoped that they would move to digital, and they kept their whales. Or are hoping to keep their whales. Right.
I mean, just competitive paper Magic is essentially gone. I mean, look at there is no GP coverage. You go to a Magic Fest, and it's a very different experience now. The feature matches are done by text. The top 8 is done on a lonely table in the middle of the hall. Attendance is down. I mean, I'm not sure that it was worth it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not really sure. There's definitely some trade-off, and I think part of the way that they're handing out booster boxes that you can pre-order is really interesting. But again, the fact that you can just go online on Thursday and spend money you would spend at the pre-release and get to play with all your cards immediately. You get to play it right now in your underwear all night long as you want. That's a thing that they now offer. And it's hard to say.
That's not Magic the Gathering, though. Like, I went to a paper pre-release at a local game store with 5 of my friends. We got Culvers beforehand. I got to play with a diverse mix of people. I played with a high school kid. I played with a guy out of college. I played with a doctor. I got to see people. We got to hang out. We got to catch up. We went out for chicken wings afterward. Like, you can't get that on Arena. And, maybe different people want different things. And, if you enjoy Arena, more power to you. But that's not my idea of a swell time. I got to learn what cards did, and I got to make mistakes, and I got to, put my deck out in front of me and have my friends come over and physically move my piles around. And, I got to look around the store and then see that Camarilla book that's $50 that I really shouldn't have bought, but I went ahead and bought it anyways. And wow. It's just an experience you can't buy, and you can't trade that. And so, I'm glad that people like that. I'm not mad at that, but that's just not a good time for me.
Fair enough. So, whenever Wizards goes anywhere that isn't, Ravnica or Zendikar or Innistrad, there's going to, it's just not going to meet the same sales. I just don't expect it to.
Or Dominaria.
Oh, certainly not Dominaria. But Wizards, could we go back to Dominaria? Because, holy cow, that set was just, we're sort of saying goodbye to it this week officially. Throne's coming out. It's going to go away forever. GG 5-drop to Fairy. We're just going to live with 3-drop to Fairy for another year, so that's fine. Right. But, the impact that set had, it is hard to underestimate not only the unbelievable sales, but how sort of the community all came together. It's one of the best, I think it's the best limited set of all time. I've never had more fun playing limited, and I've played them all. I've played Ravnica original. I've played Innistrad original. I played Zendikar. I'm telling you, the way that all of those cards fit and work together, and the 10 different, color options were all viable in their own way. Oh my God, Dominaria, it was amazing.
It was such a triumph. It's an all-star, all-time great, best ever kind of. And you look back and it keeps its gravitas. It's it is such a watermark. And I'm interested to see when they reach that watermark again, because there are some beloved planes. We're returning to a couple of them. We're going to Theros and getting some cool stuff, new stuff on Theros. We're going back to Zendikar. They're gonna try to do Zendikar the right way this time. We're gonna go back to Innistrad someday. We're gonna go back to Ravnica someday. But I'm interested to see what a return to Dominaria is gonna look like.
Gosh, it's going to be very, very exciting. Let's put it that way. So we have some hashtag WotC staff members that showed up this week.
Everybody change places.
I'm sorry.
Froelich, producer and behind-the-scenes mastermind of the Super Leagues.
So they're going to uproot from Las Vegas. My former roommates, actually, I lived for a brief time with both of them.
Yep.
And they're going to, Eric Froelich is going to leave Las Vegas, which is something incredible.
Yeah.
The producer of the Super Leagues, Athena, going up to officially become a staff at Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, I found this out last week. For those who tuned into the pre-show, at the end of the show last week, I got a message from Randy Bueller, and Randy Bueller was saying, hey, I know you guys have had interest. He reached out to some vintage players and was like, hey, I know you guys have been interested in a new season of VSL. It's going to have to wait, ... because Athena's going to work for Wizards. And so if you guys saw me react to something very excitedly, I couldn't say anything at the time because it wasn't my news to share. But that's the reason why the Super Leagues are being postponed for a little while, is while Athena acclimates to Seattle. But this is a really, really good thing. I'm glad that Wizards has been keeping an eye on this talent that has been here and grinding this whole time. And now they're giving them actual jobs, as opposed to just sort of being freelancers or creators, and I can't think of anybody who deserves it more than her.
Rachel Agnes at Baytog noted that she's honored to be your esports community manager for a short time. They're going to moving to work on card set marketing.
Nice.
Which is going to be interesting. So good luck with that.
That was her background. I remember when she was still in school and she was looking for internship opportunities on Twitter. And so, Rachel's done a great job of words are just failing me tonight. Rachel's done a great job of marketing and promoting herself. So if you want somebody, and she's done wonders for those social media accounts. And so again, just taking somebody who has a natural knack at something, Athena, whether it be behind the scenes production, or Rachel with, marketing and understanding social media, and giving them jobs and allowing them to shine in a larger capacity is great. And the fact that they're women is even better.
Oh, it's terrific. And note that Athena Froelich is going to replace Rachel's job as community manager for esports. So that's fantastic. Way to go. A sort of a lateral movement from Trick Jarrett, who previously had my current job, which is fun. But he notes it's not a huge change, given the news of role changes for other folks. He's excited he can now cross-brand. He's going to do for D&D what he's been doing for Magic, assisting the people at Wizards on their content strategy and management for Twitch and YouTube. So.
Which is great. I get to keep working with Trick every once in a while in a more official capacity, actually, now that he's more on the D&D side, because we ain't super official here, but I sure am super official over on the D&D Twitch channel. And so it's a great move. I know he's very excited about it, and kudos for that.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to bring up speaking of all the kudos, there is a wedding in the Magic world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was for Ari Lax.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, take a look at these pictures here from Gavin Verhey's Twitter. He noted that he met Ari playing Magic in 2003. And
yep,
he was
JSS. Junior Super Series, bringing people together.
Yep, doing the stuff. And obviously, congrats and best of luck to Ari and his new bride. That is awesome. Get back here to Count of the Townsfolk, as we should. So rock and roll there. There was a funny bit that was pasted here on Reddit. The wreckage is settled as Kant has been found, the dinos extinct and the legends cast down. The tempest diminished, the storm has been tamed, and Benalia's historians marshaled away. Those bound in Ixalan are finally free, but the sun's not immortal and neither is Squee. Exploring's grown boring, and with unfavorable winds, the legions are landing and their journey must end.
I loved that. That was such a delightful little poem that was a nice little credit to the rotating sets. Absolutely.
So there was a lot to complain about in what's rotating, but there was a lot to love, and there was a lot of really cool things they did. I would love for them to retry dinosaurs.
Yes.
And I would love for them to retry pirates.
Yeah, there were a lot of there were more deuces than there were aces in Ixalan. But I do not think that well is dry. I think that they could go back to Ixalan and try and make it work.
Right.
I think that the idea of vampire conquistadors works. I wasn't sold on it when I first heard the idea, but I think it works. It tracks.
Right.
Dinosaurs obviously are super popular and continue to be popular. I think that pirates obviously are a thing that you can't go back to that well too often, but it is a thing that you can go back to. And so I thought that there were some great things about Ixalan and Rivals, and that if they had another shot at it, another bite at the apple, that they could do better.
I think it was a huge win for the story. You know, when I think of Ixalan, I think of all the development that they gave Veraska and Jace.
Yeah.
You know, I was really against the story when it first came out because I like my Veraska to be kind of moody and dark and mercenary. And I was a little bit against this idea of giving her feelings and giving her, you know, friendships. You know, I tend to root for the villains. And so I didn't really like the idea of making her warm, dare I say. And I really came around to it. You know, this was Alison Lure's baby. You know, she worked really hard on this storyline, you know, giving Jason Veraska this epic friendship, and being very careful to not turn it into a relationship, you know, really putting it out there that a man and a woman can be friends, and it doesn't have to lead to, you know, you can have a deep love for somebody that's not love, that's not physical. And over time, that relationship really grew on me, and I couldn't wait to see what happened next.
Well, here's the thing. Nothing happened. They built up this whole thing with Vraska and Jace.
Safeguards.
Like there was the whole I'm putting this deep in your memory so Nicol Bolas can't get it, and I'll tell you at the right time when I'm going to flip the switch.
Maybe it's coming out in one of the stories because I haven't read all the novels yet. I'm still on the first one.
As I was reading at least tonight, they kind of they basically sort of write it off at one point. Well, because you know, War of the Spark became all about Liliana, not about Vraska and Jace anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I know, right? And I was just I was prepared for
they Game of Thrones themselves. They built too many stories and then didn't wrap up enough of them.
Yeah, they couldn't provide the payoff that they clearly set up in that entire storyline.
Well, Chris RD in chat is saying that it is in the stories.
Is it? And that's terrific.
And we'll be explored more. Okay, I hope so.
Please.
Because that was a huge draw for
As
me.
of this recording, it has not been explored more.
Okay.
But hopefully, you know, it is a thread that is still hanging, and so there is still room to grow. But boy, we have certainly moved on to a new bunch of stories. So I'm hopeful.
Alison Lewis, who's so amazing at writing that they had to put her in like a creative witness protection program because they didn't want the other writers to feel bad. I stand.
We have no choice but to stand, as my children say. At Mike Wildspeaker, if you're feeling gracious.
I hung out with him on Friday night.
Very nice. Well, he says his high school game club students are psyched about Throne of Eldraine, but many face obstacles getting to a pre-release. And if you can, sponsor a kid to the free release at their school.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Good.
Yeah, so this is this was inspired by Bruce Richard, who we've, lovingly talked about on the show. He runs a pre-release for the kids. At the library out east. They had their pre-release this past weekend. Go follow Bruce on Twitter at Altered, what is it? Bruce's Mana Burned on Twitter. Go follow Bruce for all of the pictures. I enjoyed following that thread very much. But Mike is a science teacher, I believe, at his high school, and there's an after-school club for his students. And let's be honest, pre-release can be a little expensive. I think I paid $40 for mine, and so if you are a high school kid, $40 can be hard to come by. And so he's been trying to create these moments for these kids. He's getting them involved in Magic. And so, if you have the ability to sort of sponsor a kid and sponsor this group, people have been sending him their bulk rares and their old playmats. I gave him a box of Unstable for the kids. And it's been great. He also sends pictures of the kids kind of discovering the game. And it just reminds you of what, it was like when you discovered the game.
Absolutely. So if you want to sponsor a free release, you can certainly do so. So let's keep on moving here. The Judge Academy is talking about international support. On October 1st, they said they have a goal for serving judges in regions everywhere starting January 1st, 2020. Now, the launch of JudgeAcademy.com, as I understand it, was a little rough, and that they turned off signups or something, is what I heard.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it panned out. I knew that there were mostly what I saw. The discussion was memes and jokes about how the launch didn't go great.
Yeah.
I was not super invested because I'm not a judge, so I don't know exactly how it's panned out. But it didn't go as swimmingly even as the Arena official release.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you
I
go.
did see a number of people from the community offer to foot the bill for several judges who couldn't afford the $200. So shout out to those people who, really wanted to see their favorite judges still be a part of this program, because that's a big hurdle in and of itself.
Yeah, I heard that a couple of things. One was there was a confusion about the VAT tax, the value added tax for folks who are in Europe in particular, had a huge percentage of their sign-up fee added to because of VAT. And so that was there was a lot of consternation having to do there. The website crashed because, of course, it did. When you have a bunch of people all going to the same site and you get the hug of death, that's going to be a thing that happens. So hopefully it all gets sorted out in the weeks and months to come. But yeah, a little bit of a rocky start.
Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to get this up and running. They want to make it not only work for Magic, but for other games. And I don't actually think it's in the show notes, but Judge Academy, I think at one point did specifically note Keyforge. And Keyforge has announced a $100,000 like grand championship and $10,000 events all around the country next year. And it's like, this would have been brilliant a year ago, but I guess whatever. Like,
yeah,
okay.
It's tough. I mean, it's like trying to catch a wave with all of these new games. And so hopefully it's not too late and that they can capitalize still. Yeah,
we'll see. All right, so let's turn the corner here to Desperate Ravings. What the hell happened with Corpse Knight? Can someone tell me? Can someone give me the down low?
I don't get it.
You can tell me anonymously. It's cool. Just what in the world happened between it went from a 2-3 in the pre-release packs?
Did this happen once before?
It did. It happened with the promos in the pre-release packs, or some of the promos. Not even all of the promos. I feel like it was like foreign language promos.
You sure?
Or
I thought it was
I
all.
forget exactly what it was. Was it all of the promos?
I did not see a non-2-3 version out of the pre-release packs. I mean, just me personally.
It's ridiculous. It's the regular pack Corpse Knights are correctly printed as 2/2s.
Yes.
And then the non-foil pre-release pack printings, and now these new printings are all 2/3s.
And the bundles? Oh my god.
I don't understand how this problem happened. It's a weird collation issue.
I mean, it's basically, it sounds like they changed their mind and they tweaked the card and somebody didn't get the memo and it went into the pre-release packs and the bundle and what looks to be the Brawl decks. Now, the Brawl decks, funnily enough, supposed to release this weekend or this Friday. No one has them because Wizards like hilariously underprinted them. I mean, hilariously. We're talking.
Well, we've decried. Well, first of all, you two have decried Brawl a lot on this show. I love Brawl. I've been the Brawl apologist on this show historically. Now, the reason why they hilariously underprinted the Brawl packs for this particular expansion doesn't so much have anything to do with them launching and have anything to do really with Throne of Eldraine, I don't think, and much more to do with Arcane Signet.
Yeah.
Being the most egregious card for any Commander format ever printed since Sol Ring. So,
I mean, all the commanders are like $30. The Signet's like $20+. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, what rumors I have heard, and this is just rumor, I don't know, but what rumors I heard was that Wizards had brought up this product to distributors, and they said it was going to be like Planeswalker decks, which, don't sell at the FLGS. Right. They sell at Walmart and stuff.
Right.
And so so distributors were like, okay, whatever, we'll take a little bit. And it turns out they made the most insane Commander product ever with this ridiculous amount of value in it, and nobody can get any of it. I'm talking like levels of magnitude smaller than any other release they've been doing lately. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty frustrating and upsetting, but, I think that... Do you think that they'll make another print run?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a thing they can do?
It got so bad, they had to publicly say, we're going to print more of them. We're sorry.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, demand is just absolutely out the roof. Yes, prices will calm down eventually, but, you want to play with those cards right now. They're available this Friday somewhere. Right. They're going to be available in the collector's packs. So not all of the Arcane Signets are just going to come out of the Brawl decks. They're also going to come out of the collector packs, too, which can matter. Good. Which is a good thing. One of the things they noted here was that the Brawl deck Precons do not come with any tokens, which is kind of weird.
Why?
I mean, probably costs.
Even the guild kits came with tokens. Like my Rakdos set came with dragons and came with...
It's so weird, especially because the Esper Fairy commander makes 1/1s.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You'd think they put at least one, right? At least one.
Food.
Or food tokens, which they did
weird.
0. I mean,
I whatever, man.
No.
And it's one of those things like, yes, why don't they give us more value, blah, blah, blah. But it is kind of odd.
It's not even value. It's just, it has to do with like the game where like you need to, I hate to say this, but you need to present an accurate board state where like, you got to have your tokens and you got to have how are you supposed to play with that on like a functional level? It would be like buying a board game. Like it would be like buying life. And they don't give you the kids to play. Well,
yeah.
but like it would be like any board game. It has a list of the pieces, and like you can't play a game without the pieces. Like
yeah, and it's kind of odd that
you're charging $500 a box for that thing. You can't give us some something.
Well, that's different.
Product, but
different product.
Saying, like you got the money. Give us a couple zombies. Give us a fairy.
You're paying $50 for this Brawl deck, and they don't give you one token. Is a little odd.
Exactly.
It's just odd. Okay,
Don't do that.
It's fine. Let me tell you, if I have a feeling that CSI is not alone, and that no one in the building can figure out what in the world Wizards is doing with these cards and the collector pack versions, and the collector packs has these cards, and these cards are seen in booster packs.
I told you.
It's madness. We have to make a guide for employees, like a multi-page guide.
How many pages?
3 pages, y'all. 3-page guide to our employees to explain where the hell these cards are coming from, and which ones go where, and which ones come out of which packs, and which ones you can't get out of which packs. Like, it's ridiculous. It is completely insane. It is, in fact, so insane and ridiculous that Wizards themselves, Mark Rosewater, says that the absence of non-foil common showcase adventures from, like, there should be common adventures in your booster packs, just like there's uncommon adventures and so on, or uncommon showcase cards, that it was a mistake. That Wizards caught the mistake too late in the process to fix it for Throne of Eldraine, but they'll fix it in the future, which means, to be clear, this is so convoluted, they even set up the system and they got it wrong. That's how messed up this is.
Yikes.
Yeah.
God almighty.
I'll take the L on that one. I was trying to defend this when it was first announced. And I mean, I appreciate the attempt, but yeah, boy, they screwed the pooch on the execution.
I like the idea, I really do, but man, I mean, because it's also just like a training issue, and this is not just CSI, this is Card Kingdoms of the world, Channel Fireballs of the world. If you are an online retailer with a bunch of employees who are pulling cards, buying cards, figuring out where they're coming from and which version they are, if they're like, because there's a difference between the full art and the extended art or whatever, like, it's just ridiculous, and it's super hard to just get straight, and again, so crazy, even Wizards made a mistake in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It's just insane. And
pretty wild.
And I know they're not going to stop. Like, I know at least for the next couple sets, they're probably locked in, so it doesn't matter per se.
I mean,
but
so here's what they need to do is they need to just get it right, and then from once they get it right, they can accurately see if it makes a difference. They can accurately see if they are, disseminating these down to a level that makes sense. Like, oh, I'm the kind of person that buys this booster pack. I'm the kind of person that buys the different booster packs. And if that makes a difference, and get that sort of repetition in, because you got to see for a little while if it matters. Because right now we don't know, and we wouldn't have known even if they'd gotten it right, whether this was a good decision.
Yeah.
So give it a second, right? Give it a couple sets. 1 or 2 sets to see if they make any difference, and if not, oh well, no harm really done.
No, I mean, some different weird cards are fine. There's weird cards that we have to deal with, CSI has to deal with every day anyway. It's just, wow, the amount of confusion I have seen put into the business side of things is remarkable. It is. I can't not tell you about how stupidly confused employees are and people trying to work with a set are on where everything goes.
Speaking of confusion, this isn't in the show notes for some reason, but did you guys hear about how there are several cards that should be pauper legal that when the lists were merged are still not legal on Moto? I think our friend Kendra brought that to our attention.
Kendra tweeted about this.
Yes, I meant to include this. I apologize. But do note that Magic Online did respond to her, which I thought was great, and they said they want to have a fix looking optimistically targeting tomorrow afternoon. So maybe by the time you hear this, it won't even be an issue anymore. So that's cool. You know, kind of sucks that she had to find it for them, but we found it, and hopefully they'll fix it ASAP. So there's that.
As the paragon of Pauper, it was on her shoulders.
The Pauperiest, absolutely.
I mean, it's not like anybody's going to be playing with those cards with Astrolabe still around. Okay.
So if you have been to YouTube lately,
I'm unfamiliar. What is this YouTube you speak of?
The tube of you, as it were. Yes.
I heard that Mr. Orange used to make videos for that website.
I know, right? He owes us a Forgotten Lore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that said, if you've been to that website recently and you like Magic the Gathering, there is a very high chance that they showed you one of their sponsored videos. And they're sponsored videos from, like, the gamut. There is, like, the Game Theorist did one. I just saw...
Is that why I'm supposed to hate Captain Marvel? Is it the video?
I guess, maybe.
Right.
Okay.
But the idea that we had, let's see, better. Oh, my God, I can't remember. The trivia show, essentially, like the behind the what do they call it? Oh my God, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. The point is,
Grumps?
I mean, just people from all over. Just like they're making videos about Magic.
A lot of like YouTube celebrities,
yes,
and regular celebrities to be playing Magic, not just PewDiePie deciding to pick up the game and recording a video and getting 17 million views because he's PewDiePie, and that's what happens.
Right.
But also folks like Game Grumps. I know that the show that I like to watch, Critical Role, had a sponsored arena stream with Matt Mercer and Sam Riegel last week. And so they're certainly sowing their wild oats in trying to get more non-native kind of advertising and getting their name out there to lots of different people.
It is the Did You Know Gaming channel.
Sure.
They sponsor one of those videos, which again, and for what it's worth, it's a lot of my Forgotten Lore content, which is fine. It's fine. It's all the same information, you know. But either way, it's really cool. How they're investing in that, but. You know, there's existing creators that have hundreds of thousands of followers, subscribers, and they could also work with those channels as well, because here at Tolarian Community College notes, I think it's smart for Wizards to invest in YouTube advertising, new media mentions, and just paid promotion and sponsorships. High five. But he also feels that organic creators, the people who are and have been making independent content about Magic, matter greatly too, if not more. So... it's just... I
mean, it takes both, right? Like, you want to have your native to Magic the Gathering streamers, right? You want to have your Jeff Hoaglands and your Todd Andersons, but you also want to have folks coming from other games, right? You want to have the new blood that's coming in. I see that Bloody, for example, is a streamer and who has been doing a ton of Magic Arena content the last couple of months, but hasn't for years, for example. And so bringing in both is important. I think that valuing one over the other might be a fool's errand. However, I definitely agree with Prof's assessment that, make new, the old friends are gold and the new friends are silver. So you should maybe value one a little bit higher than the other.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a brand new world. They're trying to work their way into the video game market, and that's huge and vast. And I'm sure they're spending a whole bunch of money with all these different outlets. But we've been here a long time, and there's lots of creators that have been around working on Magic content for years and years and years.
But their dollars spend the same, is my point.
It's true.
It's another side effect of bringing in the Microsoft team kind of folks, which is like, look, we have these people, but we don't need these exact people, right? We could get a larger total number if we sacrifice some of the people who are here already.
Basically,
I don't think of it as a sacrifice necessarily. Like, it's not personal. Like, if there were... I don't want to say like I need evidence necessarily, but like if you could demonstrate that there was some sort of ignoring or isolating happening, like if you could show that, you know, the support was drying up or that people weren't getting the support like they used to or like they should, you know, but I don't see that that's happening. It does seem like you can have both. And so when we get to that point where like the old guard is not getting any love, then I think an argument like this might have a bit more legs to stand on. But I mean, we're not really, no one's really going hungry, you know what I'm saying?
Well, from the sort of the marketing, the corporate aspect of things, you don't spend money on clearing community college because they're going to make content anyway. You don't have to incentivize them. Now, obviously that's cold and corporate. I'm just trying to keep it real. Like from Wizards' corporate marketing decisions, why would we pay the Magic the Gathering channels to advertise more Magic? Because that's what they're already doing.
Yeah, I think having both is fine. I think if you can show that the pendulum's swinging too far, you know, then it's a valid criticism. But I don't think that the mere existence of that is worth.
Yeah. So it's a thing where I think they could work a little closer with the existing entities. But in many ways, I can imagine them having an argument that they work with game nights and they sponsor that and they make sure that stuff happens, and that's a terrific program. And they have been, you know, guests on Clearing Community College before. Gavin Verhey has showed up there to talk, you know, shop essentially about Wizards and Magic. So, all right. Don't really care too much about the Throne of Eldraine mistranslations. I don't know enough about it to really talk about it. I feel.
That's fine.
It turns out some of the Japanese translations were bad, I guess, but
it's not the translations were bad. It's that they were mechanically different than, so they were translated wrong essentially in terms of how the game functions. Right,
because you know when cards say target, that's really important, and if it doesn't say target, that's also really important, and everything can change on that, you know, that one difference. So if Japanese players are learning essentially how cards work differently, that's going to be an issue. That said, there is some splash damage that we have time for, and I definitely wanted to talk about Blizzard. Is going to return 23 wild cards. These are their oldest, some of their old cards from older sets, back into standard for like 2 weeks, I think it is, something like that.
Weird.
And they're going to give them to you. So you're going to get copies of them. You can't dust them or whatever. You can't get rid of them for profit. And they're going to take them back when the event is over. But can you imagine if Wizards was just like, we're going to add Dark Confidant, Stoneforge Mystic, Force of Negation, Wrenn and 6, like whatever, Sword of Fire and Ice, and we're going to give it to you for 2 weeks. Everybody gets 4 copies, and then in 2 weeks, we take it all away. Like,
interesting. So 2 of the cards they're bringing back are 2 cards that I had a ton of fun playing when I played a lot more Hearthstone, which is Ragnaros the Fire Lord, which was one of the original big finishers when you first, like 5 years ago when the game first came out. One of the biggest finishers in the game was Ragnaros, and then N'Zoth the Corruptor, which is a 10-drop that went in very specifically designed decks.
He's also shaping up to be the big bad at the next patch.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. And so those are 2 of the cards that they're going to bring back. I'm much more interested in if they're going to bring back some of the commons and uncommons, as it were, that they had to get, not had to, but the cards that were so ubiquitous, things like I
mean, but like imagine for Magic,
Drake, for example.
Right. Like imagine if they said, you know, Path to Exile is going to now be legal for 2 weeks.
Right.
That would change everything. You know, that would be a gigantic game changer in terms of what you would do, what you would play, what's good, what's bad. And that's really interesting. And I think Wizards would do well to watch this very closely to see what exactly happens. Because if you like fire up the player base when there's a lull between set releases, this is a cool way to do it.
And they've already shown that they're watching Hearthstone closely.
It's true. Hashtag dat Hearthstone format.
It's true.
In the future. I mean, and they can easily do it on Arena. They can easily say, look, we've got a playable format for 2 weeks or a week or whatever, where you can use like this list of 5 cards or this list of 20 cards or this extra set. Like, just see what standard looks like when you also have Kaladesh.
Sure, because first of all, that's already on the client for what it's worth. But you know they can do that, so it almost is very similar to Cube Draft in that they're giving you a bunch of very powerful cards, just kind of throw it in the mix and see what happens. Whereas Blizzard is really diving in and saying we're going to make our standard format completely different for a period of time and then change it all back.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting. And so, that said, Aaron, did you want to talk a little bit about Kickstarter?
No, I want to talk about the thing before it, actually.
Oh, there you go. So tell us.
So I recommended this topic because I found it fascinating. So back in 2016, there was a young man named James Varga who went by Phantom Lord on Twitch. He played Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And he got banned from Twitch because he got caught streaming himself using Counter-Strike gambling sites. 2 years later, he turned around and sued Twitch for lost income and damages for what he says is a wrongful ban. Twitch then countersued him, saying that he had violated multiple Twitch policies. Now, we've talked before about esports and streaming and how there's a lot of murkiness out there. You know, you have all of this money that's supposedly out there that nobody's really seeing. You know, you have these young guys that are being offered contracts and aren't necessarily reading them. And so this this case right now is in court, and the judge did make a ruling that seemed to be in Varga's favor. Specifically, the fact that in his contract that he signed with Twitch, there is something in there that specifically says that he cannot receive anything more than $50,000 from a lawsuit from Twitch, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal. But you also have to consider that no attorney is ever going to agree to share anything of $50,000. Like, you are never going to find an attorney to take this case on for that amount, which is essentially saying that he can't sue them, right, by not being able to let him find an attorney. Right. And so the judge described it as being unconscionable. Right. The fact that the cap exists. The streamer admitted he never read the contract before he signed it, which is huge. You know, we talked about with the Magic Pro League, and Jerry leaked that these guys were given contracts and like very little time to actually read them and sign them. And so this could very well be a very important case in the future of streaming. And it's so important to read these agreements, you know what you're signing up for, because a lot of these companies and a lot of these teams don't really have your best interests at heart. And I just found this so interesting that somebody is kind of fighting back, even if their argument is a little specious. The fact that the law is getting involved with this, and people are looking at these contracts and really realizing that these guys are being taken advantage of.
Now, I want to this is referring to a specific like streamer exclusivity contract as opposed to the general terms of service that you have. But that's
the point stands, is you have these guys that have stars in their eyes that say, I'm going to be the next ninja. A team swoops in, Twitch swoops in. You don't read these things. You care about your Twitch count. You care about your jerseys. You care about whatever toothpaste you're slinging on your Twitch page. You're not caring about this. But when it gets right down to it, you're getting screwed. And the fact that a judge called this out in a way that hasn't been done before, I loved reading this.
It was really interesting. I'll note that he was banned from Twitch after he streamed himself using CS:GO gambling sites. He allegedly had a financial stake in one of those sites, and that's an issue. But that said, the idea that you're never ever going to be able to get more than 50K, and that's kind of silly, was awesome to see being thrown out.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
I'm pretty happy to see that too. I think that it's that's a stupid thing to have in any contract, but
it is what it is. Now here, granted, this last story here is where the Kickstarter CEO, because we've used Kickstarter, y'all, multiple times, has confirmed that the company is anti-union and will remain so. And isn't that illegal? Am I wrong? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I mean, it's not. It's not illegal.
Right. They stand by the current firings. They're continue to fight against unionization. His message to pro-union Kickstarter's users is drop dead. We don't need you.
This was a really incendiary topic. There was a lot of backlash against this. A lot of popular creators came out against this. Neil Gaiman, Richard Herring, and Eve Sarkeesian. A lot of people who support Kickstarters said that this is something they're going to consider when they see other people hosting Kickstarters. And so this was really, really, I think there's potential to be very damaging to the Kickstarter brand. And there's a lot of information out there. But just to see them be so unapologetic about something is like, oof.
Right.
Now, Kickstarter did have a message to our community response to this about a week ago at this time, where they claimed that the firings were not based on union affiliation of any kind. The two members that they parted ways with had nothing to do with unions, so they claim in their announcement. And of course, that was met with lots of really kind of responses. So it's a developing issue. I'm interested to see if there will be backlash based on it.
Well, just recently, the company's union known as Kickstarter United requests voluntary recognition of their union. Excuse me. And with a letter addressed yesterday to the company's CEO, because they want to form that union so they can then have the ability to make sure everyone's making the same amount of money, for example. They're getting the same kind of benefits that they can all enjoy and whatnot. All those things that are good, because definitely, at least in my lifetime, that I've noticed that the unions are always painted as bad. Their fees are always egregious. They never actually help the common person. They just make things expensive. And so when you think of that sort of like as a pro-capitalist argument, and you go, wait a minute, like what if we could just collectively like help each other, and we could all help, make sure that these benefits are there, and get the things that we've been asking for, whether it's pay raises or it's benefits or it's whatever, vacation time.
It's things like this that lead to some idiot from Silicon Valley in 6 months going, hey, I got an idea. We're going to create this newfangled thing that like lets people take care of each other. You know, when they do that thing where like, we're going to do this thing where like you can go to a place and read books. Yeah, they're called libraries. Like, you're not reinventing the wheel. Just fix what you already have.
Yeah, one of my favorite occasional things is every 6 months or so, a Silicon Valley trust fund billionaire will accidentally invent the bus.
Yeah, right. I love the bus inventions. We got it.
That's a great one.
The ultimate Uber, giant vehicle.
All Ubered together on a set schedule.
What if we bought passes and we had a whole network of stuff that worked? Really weird. And also, one of the giant detriments in just living in America is that our public transportation is complete garbage. And you go overseas and you're like, wow, I can get anywhere via train. Like, anywhere. It's amazing. Their subways are great. Their trains are great. Like, they have, I think one of the last week tonight was making fun of, they had a commercial, I think it was in, it was Finnish or Danish or something, where they're like saying that their buses are great, and it's a whole commercial about how you should ride the bus because the bus is fantastic. And it's like, here we make fun of people who ride buses. We feel like you're in trouble. Like, well, what happened to your money that you had to go ride a bus instead of taking a whatever? Like, that's kind of the thinking.
And it's really unfortunate, and it's I know it's particularly good for Magic players, the public transportation ability of Europe in particular, and Japan. In the United States, you have to get a group together to go on a road trip, and that is just not a thing that some people can do. Whereas, in Europe, you can take a train, you can take public transportation across the entire continent to whatever event you're going to.
Just a few hours and there you are. So either way, Kickstarter and Getting Union is a ongoing story, and we'll see how that goes. That said, we have some giveaways to do for the booster box, the complete booster box, as we turn the corner here to the finisher. Is there something wrong? Did we do something wrong?
No, you're good. We're waiting with bated breath.
Okay, I was to make sure that wasn't a problem. I was like, did I do something wrong? Oh my God. All right, cool. So we are going to pick a winner, and the winner is, drum roll,
honk.
Congratulations to the pilot. The pilot has won a booster box of Throne of Eldraine. Congratulations. It was not rigged, 100% random, but the pilot, the pilot, as it were.
Wow.
I did it.
Just, you have to do the callback to the incorrect pronunciation every time.
Every time. It makes me feel good. That said, contact Aaron. I think you had before, if I recall correctly.
He might be muted, but not blocked.
Sure. The pilot's a regular, so that's a nice one to. It's nice to see.
But that means we turn the corner to the finisher. The Untitled Goose Game is taking Steam by storm. It was the #1 best-selling game on the platform this week, and I also heard it was the #1 selling game on Switch, beating out such major titles as Link's Awakening and Minecraft, as we spoke of. And it's taking over Magic as well. The new Gilded gander going great in games of Standard as well. So now that both Magic and strategic puzzle games have got their goose, how do you feel about our new avian overlords, Aaron?
Well, I'm very pleased in particular to see Golden Egg doing things in the new Esper Dance of the Manse deck. Yeah, Oko's loco, and the goose is loose, but personally, I'm always in favor of supporting the new eggs in my community.
Nice. Ruben?
Untitled Goose Game is a great message to send to game creators. Make something cool, fun, new, unique, wholesome, and you can hit it big. But there is still some collateral damage. Goose-related crime is on the rise. Kotaku has announced that goose-related crime is up 2,000%. since the title was released. So I'm excited to see the next logical step, congressional action to ban the geese, because as you know, if you goose in the game, you goose in real life.
Oh, man.
Wow. Well, look, we've gone from bolt the bird to shelf the elf to shock the hierarch to now cook the goose. And the next thing we'll see is Sorcerer Spyglass naming Gilded Goose, turning off the ability to make new food tokens, because as you know, the bird's the word. And you better put somebody to host in there, or we're not going to have anybody to host.
I did. I put somebody to the host.
Oh, you put it at the bottom? No?
I put it where you said to put it.
Oh,
and now we raid ...
All right. Well, look, that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ruben.
Honk.
God almighty. We're going to move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and I hope you... Oh my God. And we hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we honk. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at honkmikes, on Twitter at Magic Mike's Honk, our Magic Mike's Sub Honk, and like the Magic Honk on Face Honk.
Wow. No one will be able to find us.
Nowhere.
Again.
Ever. Talk to us privately at magicmikespodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmikespodcast.libsyn.com. Or find us on iTunes and Spotify. Or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mike's. Good honk, everybody.
Honk.